Welcome back, Mindsetters. I know we have, this lesson just goes so fast sometimes, and I just look at the time and I'm like, I'm sure we're halfway through, and then I look again and then we're not. So here we are. I know there's many questions, and fantastically, you guys have answered them, and you are right on the ball. Llewellyn did go through them, and those of you who did answer, you are on the right track, and I know some of you are even writing tomorrow. So this lesson was absolutely awesome. Over to you.
How's it, guys? Listen, one of the questions I did see a few seconds ago with Kat was what is the difference between a population and a community? Remember, a population is the same species that can interbreed with each other. Remember, species is a specific type of animal, right? And a community is different species living together. So, population of rhino are rhinos, okay? A community would be your zebras and your wildebeest and your lions, okay? That is a community. Just think about it very nicely. Community, all different types of populations together. Population, a specific species. Okay, I hope that clears it up. So
It does indeed.
it was very nice. Now, I left off at the regular type of population. Okay, now this one's nice and easy. Remember, it's a rhino, it's a solitary animal, and it has its own little barriers, right? The next one, if we have a look at, is your random. Now, if you have a look at the dots, it's all over the place. Now, these one, this over here, this type of population is like your antelope. Remember your wildebeest and your zebra and all of that. You know, you always see them together. They don't care who's standing next to me. It doesn't matter. As long as the grass is there and the sun is shining, I'm happy, right? They do fight for territory. Remember, they do fight, but that doesn't mean that you have one dominant male that's going to mate, right? The males try and mate for the best female, yes, but they do kind of mate. Okay, if you are not going to, if you're not strong enough, the female are not going to come to you, right? But they're all over the place. They don't mind. I can eat this blade of grass. You can eat that blade of grass. We're all happy. That is what random is. It's all over the place. So you'll see that there's a huge bunch. Let's see, yellow. There's a huge bunch of antelope over there. There's almost nothing there. There's a nice big bunch over there. There's one over there. So it's all over the place. It doesn't really matter where they are. That is your random, okay? Regular, they've got their set boundaries and everything is fine, okay? With the random, it's all over the place. Okay, that's quite a nice one. Remember, it's they don't have a territory. That's what we're trying to get at. So the first one has a territory. The second one doesn't have a territory. But the first one has got they don't mind them coming in and out unless until there's a female type present. Okay, now the next one I'm having a look at. This is quite an important one, okay? These are called the clusters, okay? This is your socializing animals. So in this case, I would look at my wolves, because remember I love wolves. So your wolves stay in packs, okay? Don't forget your lions, the hyenas, all of those. And if you have a look at it, they've got a territory there. That one's territory. That one's territory. And I've made it quite, as you can see, quite nice. Now, there would be a free land that a new baby might just take over, right? And they'll fight for territory. That's how it's going to look. It's quite nice. Now, these animals are also known as the social animals. They intermingle with each other. So you've got a couple of them staying together, and if those guys want to make their pride bigger, they will raid the next pride. Okay, so they raid. Also, they try and raid the territories to try and get bigger and more female. They want to make a nice, big, strong pride. Okay, so your pride of lions, they are clustered. Okay, your solitary animals like your rhino, they are regular. And then your last one is your, can you remember, Kat?
Rabbits?
What I'm going to do is I want to see if you guys are paying attention to the last one. I'm going to leave.
Okay.
Send me a question and give you the answer. Okay, because I've spoken about regular, I've spoken about cluster, and I don't know about the other one. So I need to know if you know. Nice and easy. Just to see if you're paying attention to what I'm actually saying. Okay, so these are the three types of populations you actually get. Okay, which is quite nice. Now, I was hoping we'd get to this part. This is methods of counting. Now, a lot of people get confused with this. So I've been working quite nicely to get to this part of the lesson because they are going to ask you what is going on with the counting parts. Okay, now remember, there's two types of counting you can actually get. Okay, if you have a look, we had the qualitative and quantitative. Can you remember? Okay, qualitative means exactly. So this is where we are going to, well, before I start that, you need to choose to be able to find out which one, qualitative or quantitative. You need to ask yourself three little things. Okay, the first one would be the type of organism. Okay, the type of organism. Is it, how do I say this? Is it plants? Is it animals? Is it predators? Is it herbivores? Is it omnivores? Do you get what I'm trying to say? We're looking at the type of animals. Okay. The next one, specific habitat. So habitat. So are we going underwater? Are we going on land? Okay. Are we looking at fleas on a dog, right? Or are we looking at the cockroaches in your back garden, right? So looking at the specific habitat. And then last one, accuracy required. So if somebody comes up to you and says to you, I'm looking for an average of how many wildebeest are in the Kruger National Park, you can say, okay, well, we need to find that out. Or he can say, listen, but this is my farm, okay? I need 50 springbuck on this farm. Now, you can't say, that's round about 50. Simple. I want 50. That's how many need to be in here. That's how many I want. We need exactly 50. Not 51, not 49, 50. So we need to know how accurate this must be. Okay, now that accuracy is the main thing that we're looking at. Okay, so the first one, method. You get your direct and you get your indirect type of methods, right? Your direct method is also your qualitative. Okay, it is direct. It's a census method. Not senseless, census. Okay, you got
Census.
it. Census, not
Census.
senseless. Okay, now, your census, now, I think it was this year or was it last year that we did a census in this country for the humans?
It was last year.
Last year, where they come around with this piece of paper and they say, how many people do you have in your family? And there's a reason for that. They needed to count everybody in Johannesburg, for instance. That was the point. So instead of saying, okay, let's all gather at Coca-Cola Park or Soccer City, and then we'll count all of you guys, right? What they do is they send somebody around, and you need to fill in forms. Okay, that's a nice way of looking at it. Okay, that is the first one. And the second one is indirect method. Okay, that is where we get roundabout. But this roundabout is quite accurate. Okay, so don't let it fool you. Okay, direct method, you get the census. The indirect, you get the quadrant method, and you get the mark, recapture, mark method. Now I know this mark, recapture, mark method, you guys are having a problem with. A lot of children actually do. I mean, when I was a kid, I also had a problem with them. So it's quite, if you get the facts, it's actually quite easy. Okay, so don't have to stress about it. Let's sort that out. Okay, if we have a look at it.
I've got that answer for you, by
Yes.
the way. It's random like the antelope.
Clever, random, all over the place. Thank you very much.
That's
Who was
it.
that from?
It was from everyone, actually. I think the first person might have been Nogutula, and another first person was actually Lutendo as well.
Oh, you see, I'm impressed. Now, that just makes me feel all warm and cozy
Yes,
inside.
I
How
know.
nice is that? I'm
That's-
glad you guys are
that's
listening.
Special.
What type of special?
Every kind of special.
Good, I'm glad. Now, look at the census. It's very simple. We're having a look at a specific area. And if you look at it, the individual must be easily seen so they can count. So you can actually count them. You must be able to count them. It's pointless if you can't count them. Okay? So we need to, the individuals must be able to be counted quickly. Big word, quickly and easily. Yes, the census for us took a long time.
Took quite a while.
But in actual fact, it could have gone quick, right? If everybody was in their house at the same time, we could have done it very quickly, right? So it has to be done quickly. The individuals must be fixed in an area. That's why they use our houses, because we're not going to move from house to house every day, right? So we go to the same place all the time. That's how we work it. That's how we got it, okay? So it's got to be a fixed area. Very nice. The individual or animal has to be large, okay? It's a nice, large animal. Now, I'm not talking about elephants. I'm talking about large, something that's not a flea, okay? Something nice and large. And then how this works, right? Simply area. When it comes to the Kruger National Park, we're looking at the population of elephants. Okay, what they actually do is they fly a helicopter over the top. It comes down, they hover over the elephants, and they take a photo. Okay, so take a nice photo of the elephants, and we have a good picture of it, and everybody's happy. Now they can actually go to the table. They don't have to hover over and try and count while they're running. They sit there and they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and they count them. So that's a nice, easy way of looking at it. Okay, the next one, if I have a look at the indirect and the quadrant method. I'm trying to get through this because I know there's not much time left. So let's sort this out quickly. The quadrant method. Now, the quadrant method is when we got small animals. Okay, this is bugs in your yard. Okay, if we have a look at, for example, the bugs in your yard, we normally mark a meter by a meter area. Okay, we get that meter by a meter area, and we actually try and get 10%. Okay, if we have a meter by a meter area, we try and take 10% of the area. That's how it normally works. 10% we make quadrants out of it. Okay, and in those quadrants, if you have a look, we count inside the quadrant what is going on. So this is the sum we actually look at. Okay, it's very easy. This is an easy sum to look at. If I can just reach it, there we go. Estimate population size, or EP. You'll notice on my other ones I use EP. Okay, estimated population size is number in sample. So how many you counted, okay, times the total size of the area. So the size of your yard. Okay, so if we look at it again, how many I counted times the size of your yard. Normally it's about 90 square meters or whatever, okay, and the size of the quadrant. So then we measure the size of the quadrant. So if we took a 10% of it, we work them all together, and that is the answer. So I hope you've written that down. Okay, it's a very good thing to do. That you need to remember off by heart. It's a big, big thing. Okay, they do have a look at it. This is where they normally get their marks from. Okay, and I've got an example for you. Okay, if I have, this is a nice example. Okay, how did I get it? There we go. There is an average of 6 crickets per 0.01 meters squared, okay, and the total area is 1,000 meters. It's very simple. You take 6 crickets times 1,000 meters squared over what the area was, the quadrant was, and we get 600,000 crickets. That means in this area of 1,000 meters, we'd have 600,000 crickets roundabout. Okay, now I'm going to rush because I need to get to the big one, because this one everybody gets confused about. Okay, mark, recapture, mark method. Okay, now this is how they do it. They go into an area, right, and they decide they're going to go catch or they go round up a couple of animals, right, out of this population. They want to see how much the population is. So they go around and they capture a certain amount. They say they're going to get 20 animals or 25 animals, right? So they round them all up and they bring them in and then they mark them. No, they don't brand them. They mark them. They don't hurt the animals. So they'll go and put a small piece of blue paint on their tail, for instance. Okay, paint that'll come off later on. Okay, then what they do is they release them. Okay, they let them roam with their family and that again, and then after a couple of days or whatever, they go and do it again. And they don't try and find the real ones. They go round a certain amount up. They just grab a couple and they bring them in. Okay, and the sum for that is, there it is, EP, estimate population size, is the total of second capture. The second time we brought it in, okay, we brought in 30. Okay, times the total of first capture, so remember it was 25, and divided by, if I count inside that second capture, okay, if there was 3 marked animals, how many marked was there still? Okay, there was 3 marked animals, we put it at the bottom 3. Okay, now we can start finding out what is going on. Okay, now this is normally very, very confusing to you guys, but I want you to remember one thing, it's very important, okay? I'm actually pen down so we can actually do this. Formulas is unbelievable. What you should actually do, okay? You go study all your formulas, okay? And when you got your formulas, you go and you sit in the exam, right? And you wait. And they say your reading time, you read for your 5 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever it is. I can't actually think about it now at the moment. And as soon as they say start writing, you turn your page to a blank page, right? Not one that you got to write on, a blank page somewhere in the back, and you write down, or on your question paper at the back where there's space, you write down all your formulas, bam. And once you've got all your formulas, you don't have to worry about it anymore. You don't have to think, oh, I'm going to forget this one, I'm going to forget this one. Write the formulas down first, right in the back. Don't even think about the questions, and write the formulas down. Then when you get to where you need to use the formulas, just turn to the back of your sheet. They're all there. You know which ones to use. So it's the correct cheat sheet. It's the one that you actually are allowed. It's one that you've taken from your brain, put it on paper in the exam venue, and then you can actually do what you need to do. Right. So please remember that. It's very important. Make sure you know how to do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to post. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hope they're going to post everything in. Okay. They'll post this on, and you guys will have it. But before I go, have a great time. Kat, all up to you.
Thank you, Llewellyn, and thank you, Mindsetters. That it has really been such an awesome show. You guys are always good to be with, especially when it's life science, because I know that's when all the interaction comes up. I hope you guys have had all your questions answered, and you've helped each other answer everything. From me and Llewellyn, good night, guys. Have a great evening. See you for more next week. Bye.